So next up, we're going to learn about array and strings in very detail. So we're going to solve normal problems, how insertion of in array we do, how traversals we do, how sorting and stuffs, each and everything we're going to see, and in very details. So we're going to solve normal problems also, then we'll solve lead code problems also. We'll jump to the lead code platform and we'll see those solutions also, how to approach those problems and solve each thing. So what are the things going to cover, like what is array, types of arrays there, array operations, array advantages, what is string operations, what is hashing, hash table, and each and everything. So first of all, what is array? So array is a fixed data structure to store the same type of elements. So it is not like that you can store integer and character at the same time. You have to import if you're inputting integer, if you're storing integer, you have to store integer. So if you're storing, like, data type should be same. So elements are accessible by an index number, that you're going to see how to access elements in an array. So store in contiguous memory location, where the lowest memory address correspond to the first element and highest memory address correspond to the last element. So this is the indexing of the array. So first array elements start from 0, so we consider that first element to be the 0th index of the array, and after that it's going to be increased by one location. Then what does this contiguous memory locations means? If it is an integer array, then every block will be 4 bytes ahead. So integer of 4 bytes, if you consider integer of 4 bytes, then if first array's address to be 1000, then next array's address will be 1004, and after that 1008. It will never happen that you'll skip 1000 and 1004, you'll skip and you input elements in 1008 address. It means the third index, that second index, that cannot happen, and we're going to see that thing. So every element of an array can be accessed in O of one time. We're going to see this thing also. So if you see over here what I said, I consider this the first address to be 1000. Let's say 1000. It can be anything. It's actually in real life it's a hexadecimal. So next element is 1004, 1008, 1012, 1016. So what you can see over here, this is the 0th index we say, and this is the first index, second index, third and fourth index. Size of the array to be 5. Here you can see 1 2 3 4 5, and we call this as the lower address and this is the highest address. What I was saying is I cannot skip this position, like index 1, I cannot skip it and I enter value here. That's why it is written stored in contiguous memory location. You cannot skip any place to enter element at the next index. You can't do that. That's a property of an array. So here you can see this is dynamic memory allocation. Like here integer array is defined, array name is ARR, and new keyword is used, that is for the dynamic memory allocation. But we're going to see this is not efficient, this takes lots of memory, so we're going to use array list. So we're going to study about the array list and we'll solve tons of problems about the array list also. Here the array size to be 5, it is given. So array of 0, this is 0th index, 1 2 3 4, you can see, right? Array of 0th index is 6, array of 1 index is 8, array of second index is 4, and so on the values. Now what are the types of arrays there? So there are 3 types of array. You can say there are multiple types of array: single dimensional array, 2-dimensional array, 3-dimensional array. It can be 4D also, 5D also, as much as you want. Alright, so we will move forward with a single dimensional array. Most of our real world problems get solved with single dimensional array, and when we talk about 2-dimensional array, we talk about matrices and stuff. So we're going to solve questions on single dimensional array, matrix, then dynamic array, that is array list, each and everything. We're going to comprehensively solve huge amount of problems, and then we'll ahead with the string concept. So elements are stored in only rows. Here when we say single dimensional array, the array of an element can be calculated by the formula memory address equals to b plus s into I. What does that mean? B is starting address of that array. Byte stored in the element is E, and I is the index number of the element from 0. So here instead of S, okay, it should be E. So what it is saying that memory address is calculated that way. So this is of no concern. Basically we do not going to get into it because this is not asked in the real world. Now second dimensional array, we'll give the overview and I'll come back in the second dimensional array again. Alright, so elements are stored in rows and columns format. Here if you see a matrix that is m cross n, which has m rows and n columns, the storage of an array takes place in row wise and column wise. The address of an element can be calculated by the formula. Again, you don't have to remember this. Alright, so this is how it's going to be calculated, the memory address of that array. So this is not our concern. Our concern is to solve real world problems because this is for the formula purpose only. No one will ask you. Alright, next up, that is three-dimensional array. So what's a three-dimensional array? So an extension of two-dimensional array with the additional of depth. So a cube with rows, columns and depth. So that is what three-dimensional array. The storage of an array takes place row wise or column wise. So the address of an element can be calculated. Again, the formula is given in this manner. Again, we need not to care about this formula. We have to solve real world problems. Basically, how array insertion, deletion, updation, traversal, each and everything we're going to see in very detail. So what are the array advantages? So when we use array, it takes constant time to operate. So that is one of the biggest advantage of using array. So each element in an array can be accessed by using the index of the element in an array. So optimal memory usage. So array stores only data with no storage wastage with links or information. So this is the utmost use of array. So what are the different array operations? Here we're going to give lots of our time in problem solving. We're going to solve tons of problem. We're going to move to our VS Code and we're going to move to our whiteboard and we'll understand each and every code one by one, and we're going to solve lead code problems also. Alright, so array operations. So what are the array operations there? You can see traversals, insertion, deletion, search, update, sorting, merging, each and everything. So what does traversal means? Traversal basic meaning is to access element in an array one by one. That is what traversal is. So insertion, when we say, that is what addition of element at a given index. If you want to enter any element, that is going to be the insertion. Deletion, by the word you can understand the meaning that delete an element at the given index. Same as search, you can search the value of the given index, you can update the value or element at the given index, you can sort it, you can merge it, you can do lots of operations, and these operations will understand by simple program. Then we'll go to the depth of the array and array list dynamic memory allocation we're going to see. Next up, we have where basically array is used. So it is used to store different variables of the same type, and it is used for solving matrix, used in implementing sorting algorithms, and used in databases records are also implemented by using the array, and it is used for CPU scheduling, used to implement other data structures like stacks, queues, heap, hash tables. Whatever we're going to use array a lot. So now let's jump to the VS Code and we'll deep dive into all the concepts of array, all the operations of array, dynamic memory allocation of array, that array list, and each and everything with the lead code problem, and each and everything we're going to solve, and I'll show you how to proceed with the lead code problems and all. So we're going to jump into the VS Code and we'll see each thing one by one. Thank you. So one by one, what I'm going to do is we're going to see traversals, insertion, updation, deletion, addition, each and everything we're going to see. So first up, we're going to see the traversal in an array and how to do it. So we're going to solve. For that, I'll create one file and I'll write as array traversal.java. So as the template, we already know the how is going to be made. The class of the name array traversal is going to be made. So it's already done for me. So public class array traversals, it showed. Now what I have to do is I have to create the main method. So we're going to talk about each one by one, right? Here it is written public. This is the access modifier, and the class name is array traversal, and everything we're going to write inside that. So next up, what is that? Public static. So static is the keyword to, okay, public should be small p, pub, public static void main method, and in this main method we'll pass a string array into it, string, and I'll name it as args. All right, so here you can see the public is the access modifier, that how this method is going to be accessed, and static is the keyword is used for the main method belongs to the class itself rather than an instance of a class. So this means that the main method can be called without creating an object of the class. So we write static keyword because we don't want to create the object. Without creating the object, we can access the method. So that is what static. What is the public? Public is the access modifier that specifies the visibility of the main method to the other classes. So the public keyword indicates that the main method can be accessed from any class or any packages. What does this void means? Void is the return type of the main method, which means right now it doesn't return anything. So whenever we write, we're going to write boolean or int or string, so that time it's going to return that, and we're going to see that in the future. And this keyword is the name of the method, that is, this is the main method, and is required for the JVM to recognize the entry point of the program. So we say this is the driver code of the program. This from here the programming actually starts. So here it's written string argument. This is what? This is a parameter of the main method that accepts an array of string as input. So this parameter is used to pass command line arguments to the program. So this is all about it. Now we're going to see the declaration of an array. So we're going to see that declaration of an integer array, declaration of an string array, and we're going to access, we're going to traverse it. So this program is the traversal. So I'm going to comment it down, and I'm going to write that this is the traversal of an array. So for that, what I'll do, I'll come down, I'll give traversal of array. So here what I'll do is I'll declare one integer array. So int array, and array names, let's say for the numbers I'm writing numbers, and that is going to equals to new. New is the keyword for dynamic memory allocation, but I'll say that we don't do by this new keyword because this takes lots of memory. That's why we're going to use array list, and that I'm going to explain about the array list, and I'm going to take questions also, and the methods of array list are going to see one by one. Before that, we're going to cover one-dimensional array, two-dimensional array, and all the operations of array. Then after that I move to the array list. So new is the keyword, and int, again we write, this is how we dynamically create the array, right? And let's say size to be 5, and this is what called the declaration of and initialization of array of size 5. Okay, next up what we'll do is will try to create one string array also. So how to write string, an array is going to be there, and after that we'll write, let's say, names. So string names is again going to equal, so this is not dynamic memory allocation, this is normal allocations of the array. So you can see I am not writing any new keyword. All right, so here let's say write it as my name, let's be Amit, and let's write another names, let's write to be Anusua. Again go to the next, let's write to be Ringu. Then next move and let's write Alok. Let's write one more name, Purnima. All right, so these are the names I have written. So this is again declaration and initialization of this array. Now what we're going to do is we will have to traverse it. Traversal means just accessing the elements in an array. That is what traversal means. So what you're going to do is, for that I'm going to write the system.out println, and that is going to print the number array, and we're going to print the string array also. So let's go over here and write system.out println. So we are giving println because it's going to the next line, and here we're going to write that number array. We're going to traverse the number array. So what is the number array? We're going to write, we're going to give the name as number array, and what we're going to give is, for the formatting, I'll just give this, I'll give some space, and this is going to write it as it is. And next up I'm going to run a for loop from I equals to 0 to number.length. So we know that number.length is a function that is going to get the size automatically. All right, so what is going to happen here is we're going to write a for loop, and in that for loop I'm going to initialize I equals to 0, and from there I condition is going to be I less than, what is our array name? That is numbers dot length. This is going to get the length of the number array, that is what, 5, right? And we have to update it I plus plus, and after that inside this we're going to print it. So for printing, again I'm going to write system.out println. So this is the output. System.out is for the printing the statement, and println is for the printing the, this is the function that is going to, we're going to print it, right? So here what we need to print, we need to print the array, and as we learned in the PPT that we print elements in an array by index numbers. So what is the array name? We're going to name it numbers is going to be the array name, and I is the index, and this is going to iterate one by one, and that is going to print. So this is going to print for the number array. Similarly, we're going to do same thing for the string also, string array also. So for that what I'll do is I'll just copy these things, because same thing again I'm going to write. That's why what I'll do is I'll copy these things and I'll try to paste it here. So I copied it and pasted it here. Now from number array I'll change it to what, name array, names array, and here instead of numbers it is going to be names, because the what is the name of our string variable, that is names. And from here again it is going to be changed to names, array name is names. So this is all done. So this is how the traversal is going to work. Now I have to hit, you see over here the white dot, so I have to hit Control S. Now it is gone. Now what I'll go over here and I will run the code. So the code is running. It should print that in the array we didn't give any value, so it should print the 000 for that, and it should print whatever the names we have given, that should print those names. So we see that 0 5 zeros has printed for the above array because we just declared it, we didn't give any value to it. That's why it is printing the values as 0 0 0, and names, you can see all the names are getting printed, right? Amit, Anushwa, Rinku, Alok and Purnima, it's getting printed. So this is what traversal of an array means. Now we're going to see that how to add elements, update element, each and everything we're going to see one by one. And after we learn all those things, we're going to do the lead code problems and other difficult problems on arrays. Then after that, we'll move to the strings. Thank you. So before moving to insertion, deletion on all the operations, what we'll do is whatever traversal we saw, how to declare variable and then assign, and each and everything we're going to see. Before that, I showed you guys that how the traversal is done. Now we're going to break all the code one by one, and we're going to take different examples for that. So what we're going to do is we're going to normally, without using for loop, how we're going to insert element in that array, we're going to see. So that we're going to see declare, and we're going to declare an array variable, and there we will not going to take the new as the keyword. It means we're going to create a static array. So that we're going to see. Before that, I showed you that this is thing that traversal is done. All right, now we will move into the thing. So what I'll do is I'll create one new program, and here let's write array declaration. Array declaration. Let's not write that capital A as capital A. Array declaration dot Java. Now we move into it and it will create the class for me. Great. Now what you're going to write is same thing we're going to do. We're going to write the main method public static void, and I already explained what does that public static void means in the previous lecture. You can see from there. So main method I written, and I'll writing the string, and it's going to be array, and we're going to write as variable as args, that is arguments. All right, now inside this we'll declare of an integer array, right? So let's write that array name to be integer of numbers. So this is what declaration of an array means. So here if I comment it out, this is what declaration of integer array. So this is what declaration of integer array. We didn't use any kind of new keyword. We didn't declare any new keywords, but what we can do is after declaration this array, we can make the array to be dynamic. So how we're going to make it? So what you have to do is, what is the array name? Array name is numbers, and that we need to equate it with new, and we will give its integer type, so int, and array size, let's say is 5 is given over there. So this is what array, we are saying that this is the initialization of array with size 5. Now we want to accessing and modifying the array elements. In previous example we saw when we printed the whole array, that time it came out to be 0. Now here we can print one by one, or we can give in for loop, but we're going to see one by one that thing, right? So what we'll write is what is the numbers is the array name, and inside that in the 0th index, let's say we want to input some value, so let's say 10 I am giving. So similarly I'll copy, and till 4th index it will run. As we know, array index starts from 0 and it goes till n-1 index. So I'll paste till, because our array size is 5, so I printed 5, and I'll change the index number from here. That is going to be name is as 1, and it's going to be changed to 2, and it is going to be changed to, let's say, 3, and it's going to be changed to 4. and the values I'm going to change to 20, it's changed to 30, let's say it's changed to 40, and it's less changed to 50. So now these are the this is the accessing. Array of 0 means numbers of 0 is that is accessing, and this is modifying the number. What is actually there? 0 is already there, right? In the previous example we saw that when you printed, we didn't initialize anything, that time it printed 0. Now if I want to print it, you already know how to print the array, so for that we have to use for loop. So print the array elements. So what I have to do, I have to write a for loop for that, and inside that for loop what I'm going to do is initialize a variable and I equals to 0, and then I less than, condition is going to be numbers dot length, and we're going to increment it I plus plus. This is going to be the updation of that. Now what we need to print, we need to print the array with the index. So what I'll write is, I'll write system dot out dot println. I'll click it over here so that it get collapsed, and here what I'll do is I'll write what is the array name. Array name is numbers, and the index is we're going to print is I. So here I'll give semicolon and it's over. I'll hit Ctrl S so it's get removed. I'll click over here and I'll run Java, so it will run that. What is going to print, we're going to see. In the previous example we saw it printed 0 0 0. That time we didn't give any type of value. That's why that time it didn't print anything. Now we're going to see what it prints, because in the 0th index we have given 10, in the first index we given 20, and in the some kind of error it's giving. Let's see what kind of error it is giving. So there was nothing wrong in the code, but the compiler didn't work. So if I run this code right now, I click over here and you can see that it is printing 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50, right? So we will do what? We'll move to the next part, that will initialize the array with the default values. So initialization of array with the default values we already saw. I'm not going to do again. So this is what this was, initialization of the, this is what initialization of array with default values. It means the initialization was with 0, isn't it? So that is already done. Now we're going to see the initialization of array with explicit value. It means we're going to give values from our side at the very first place. In this we didn't give the values, isn't it? Like here afterwards we declared this array in two ways. We saw in the previous example, in the same line we have written, and in here what we did, we written in the next line, and after that we initialize with one by one. Now what we're going to do is we're going to initialize the array values explicitly, and we're going to use normal array. We'll not write the new keyword in this array. And how we're going to do it, we're going to see that. So this is what this is going to be next program, and it is going to name as explicit initialization. Array explicit .java. So in this, what we're going to write, we're going to write the main function as the same function name, right? So explicit initialization. All right, so here we're going to write the public static void and main function name. What does explicit initialization means is we're going to give the value directly, right? So let's see what does that mean actually. we'll level up one by one, like we'll go to the harder problem as we solve this all the basics. Now here let's declare integer array and let name it again as numbers. All right, and give the value as, let's say, 10, 20, same values, 30, 40, 50. So size of the array you can see is already 5. Now we already know how to print those elements, we already know that. So printing elements is, we will do the for loop, right? For this let's give the array declaration and initialization by index number. This is the heading. All right, okay, let's come to here and write the for loop. This for loop is for the traversals, actually printing the number. So end I equals to 0 and I less than numbers dot length. Length is the function, basically gth length, numbers dot length, and updation I plus plus. And here we're going to print, and we're going to write what? System dot out dot println, and in this we're going to print the number array. So we'll write numbers array and I is the index in it. So this is the example of array explicit initialization. So what I'll do is I'll come here and again I'll comment it, array explicit initialization, right? Hit Control S, I'll click over here and I'll run the code. So after running the code, you can see that it's going to be printing, basically you already know that it's going to print 10, 20, 30, 40. Okay, again same error is giving. So it is from the error is coming from the compiler side. So what I have to do is I have to delete the whole thing, so that, and I'll run from here, run Java, then after that it's not going to give the same error. So it is coming from the compiler side. Now it is running and it should print 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 as the value. You see 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, it is giving the value. So this is, we're going to get the result. Next up, we're going to see that if we already saw that initialization, of strings, same thing we can do, like we already saw in the first example that here we did the initialization for the string. So we will not see that thing again. Now what's up if we do like initialize this value and we want to update the value also? Let's say we want to update this 30. So what should I do? So that is the next up question, right? So for updation, what you're going to do is I'll create one more array file, and there we're going to do the updation of by index number. Let's say array update dot java. All right, here we're going to update the value. So what I'm going to do is basically we're going to write the same thing. So what I'll do is I'll just copy this things. All right, I'll copy from here and paste it over here. So I pasted. Now here what we don't need is we want to only modify any elements, and we want to see if that is modified or not. So what you're going to do is here, suppose we want to access and modify the element at the index 2. So at the index 2, what is there? 0, 1, 2, 30 is there, right? So what I have to do is I'll write system dot out dot print ln, and in this I'll say that element at index 2 is going to be what? We're going to concatenate it. So again, this plus sign, we're going to see why I'm saying concatenation. So when we learn string in detail, we're going to learn about this more. Right now, understand this is a concatenation. So numbers is the array name, and at the index 2 we want to basically update. Now right now we are accessing that value, right? So here we'll do the updation. So how to do updation? We'll write numbers array and we'll give the index 2, and let's say I want to update it to 35. From 30 I want to change to 35. All right, so previously we saw it printed 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50, right? Now if I run this code, what it should give value? So that is the question. So what I'll do is I'll hit Control S, so it's gone. Okay, now I'll click over here. Okay, one extra but is there. I'll hit Control S, and I'll click over here and clear. I'll clear it out. All right, now I'll run this code. So what I'll do is I'll click over here and run the code. So after running the code, you can see that the result is coming out to be 10, 20, 30, 10, 20, 35, 40 and 50. So the value got updated. So this is what updation, this is how you do update. Now let's say an array is there, this array is there. All right, now you want to check that you can access element outside this index or not. So what is the index? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and till 4 index it's there. Now if I try to access that 5th index, what it's going to give the result? So this will basically throw array index outbound exception. So because it is there till 4th index, 5th index is not there, so we cannot get the index till there, right? So for that we'll create one more function. There we're going to check the array length also, and we're going to check if we can access the index out of that or not, right? So we're going to see that program. So for that, let's create one more file and name it as, and I'll remove this whole thing. Okay, I'll create one more program and I'll name it as array length bound checking. Bound checking means like till where we can access the element, right? If it has index 4, we cannot check index till 5, 6, 7. We can do that, right? We're going to check also that whether we can do that thing or not. So for that, what I'll do is I'll come over here and I'll write same as usual things. We write that we're going to write the public static void main. This is the main function, main method basically, and string that is of array type, string args. All right, it's a string, and inside that we're going to write. So what you're going to write, let's create a array of same array. We're going to create, let's create an array, and that's of name as numbers, and explicitly we are defining that is 10, comma 20, comma 30, comma 40, comma 50. So array size is to be 5. We can see from here. And index of the 50 element is 4. Now if you want to access element at the 5th index or 6th index, that time what result it should show? That is what is bound checking means, right? So if I write system dot out dot println, and here let's say I want to numbers, I have the numbers, I want to access by the index element 5th, so what it should give. So that is what we're going to see right now, that what it should print. I'll hit Ctrl S. Now I'll run the code here. I'll click over here, I'll run the code. Now after running the code, let's see what output it gives basically. Because array index is there till 4, right? And we are trying to access the 5th index. It should return that array index is out of bound exception, because 5th index is not there. See, it's saying that 5th is out of bound for or length 5. Length of our array is 5. It's starting from 0, so this 5 is determining that array to be 6, length of 6. Right now it is not, it cannot access the value. Array length bound checking, right? So it's saying that out of bounds. That's what I said also, right? And let's suppose here if I write 4, it will give the result. All right, that what is the value in the 4th index. Before that, if I want to check the length of the array, suppose I want to check the length of the array, how I want to check? Let's declare one variable, that int length, and this variable, in this variable we will write what? Number. Let's not write length, let's write x. So x is the variable, there we're going to store the the length of the array. We already know that length of the array is going to be 5, isn't it? So we're going to write number dot length. So this will give the length of the array. All right, so number is what? Number is our array name. And here we'll print system dot out dot println. Here we're going to print it out, that length of the array, length of the array, and we'll format it. And here we're going to write the variable name. What is the variable name? Variable name is x, and at the end I'm going to end it. So it is giving red line, it means some error is there. Okay, it's numbers s, right? So it will give, now it is okay. I'll hit Ctrl S, and what I'll do is I'll delete from here and I'll run it. I'll run the code. Now after running the code, it should give that at the 4th index is 50 element is there, that is going to print, and length of the array is going to be printed as 5. You can see from here, that is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. The length is going to be printed as 5, and at the 4th index, suppose I want to access, that is going to give 50. As we know in the previous example that 5 if I give, that time it is not able to access it, but right now it can do it, right? So let's see what output it is giving. See, length of the array is giving to be 5, and at the 4th index it is giving as what? 50, because in the 4th index 50 is there. All right, so thank you. We'll move to the insertion, deletion and all those stuffs. So now we're going to see how to insert an element in an array. Then we're going to see how to delete an element, how to search an element, and each and everything we're going to see. So let's jump to the whiteboard and see like what I mean to say. So when I say insert an element in an array, let's say an array is there, one array is there, and in that 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50 is already there. All right, so this is an, let's say this is an array which is already there. Okay, we know that index of 10 is 0, 20 is 1, 2, 3 and 4, right? Suppose we want to enter an element at the index 2. Suppose here we want to insert one more element from our side. Let's say 25 I want to enter inside it and at the index 2. So what I have to do? So that is the question, right? So what we can, so we know in array memory are contiguous. It means none of the spaces are what? It's not left behind, right? It means it's not empty. So what is the logic we apply here is we shift all the elements to the right side. From here we cannot do shifting, right? So we shift from where? From the last elements. So we shift 50 to here, 40 to 50th position, 30 to 40th position, and at the 25 we just insert 25 over here. So this is what is the first step we do? We shift the elements to the right side. So why we are shifting the elements? So that this space get empty. And why we are starting from the last? Because last element, because here nothing is here, because in this position nothing is here, so we can shift it here. But if I directly start shifting from 30 to 40 and 40 to 50 and 50 to 30, that time we'll lose the value. That's why what we are applying is we are just shifting the elements, and in the second step what we will do is we'll insert the value at the given index. Then we will insert the value at given index. So this is the algorithm we're going to apply. Then after that we're going to print it. So this is what insertion in an array. So this is how insertion is going to insertion in an array. So if you see what we're doing, we just shifted 50 to this position, 40 to this position, 30 to this position, and this position is left, so entering the value over here. So this is we have to implement in our code. So how we going to do it? Let's jump to the VS Code and see how to do insertion in an element. So here I will write the as array insertion. So we said we will insert the element at the index, right? So what we'll do, we'll shift all the elements to the right side. So let's declare the main method over here, that is going to be public static void main, and in this strings, that's an array, and args as the parameter we are passing. All right, now I'll declare one array, that is array going to be named as same array. We're going to see numbers, array name is numbers, and explicitly give the value. So what is the value is there? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Suppose this is the array we are taking and values given. Suppose we want to give, it has to be string, not strings. So we have to, like, suppose I want to enter value at the index 2. So what should I do? So for that, what I'll do is I'll take one variable, I'll write insert index, I'll take that index, and what I'll do is I'll write 2. So at the index 2 I want to insert the value. So index, this is 0, 1, 2, right? So here suppose I want to insert the value. So what I'll do is I'll do this. So what is the value we want to enter? That variable I have to also to take. So let's say insert value, that what value I want to take. Let's say 25 I want to enter. Right now we are not taking input from the user, but you can take input from the user also. All right, so insert index we did, insert value we did. Now what we'll do is two things we said right in the whiteboard, that will shift the elements to the right side and will insert the value at the given index, and we will shift the element to the right side from where? From the last element. We'll shift the element to the right side and we will start from last index. Why we are starting from the last index? Because if we start from here, then we will lose this 40 value from here, right? This will be applied as 30, then again the values we lost the value because we're going to assign the values, right? So let's see here, we are what? Shifting elements to the right. So this is what we thought. So how to shift all the elements to the right? So that is the question. So to shift all the elements to the right, we are going to use the for loop, and we're going to initialize from the last element and will gradually decrement it and will reach that index, that insert index, right? So that is we're going to be written. So we'll write a for loop and we'll initialize from where? Int I equals to last index. So what is that? How we're going to get the that thing? So that is going to be the numbers dot length. That is going to give the length of the array, but we know that length of the array is 5, but last index is 4. So what I have to do is I have to subtract 1 also here. So this will give the last index, and condition is going to be I is still greater than index at insert index. That time it will run. All right, now we will decrement it gradually from the last index to first index, like the insert index will come back. And here what we'll do is we'll assign the previous value to the next value. So how we assign the previous value to the next value? Numbers is the array, and that is going to write as I. Previous value is what? In numbers, and that is I minus 1. That is what we are doing, isn't it? You see, this previous value is assigned to the next value, and we are starting from 50. Previous value is 50 and next value is this. Previous value is 40 and next value is this, isn't it? So if it is I minus 1, this is I. So I minus 1 is assigned to I, right? Okay, so that's what we did here. Okay, now after shifting all the elements, what you have to do? After shifting, we said that we have to insert the value at the given index. So for inserting, insert the value at given index. So how we do it? Insert the value at the given index. Numbers is the array name, and in that I'll say insert index. In that index I want to enter, and value will give from the, what is the value you want to give? Insert value. So I'll write insert value in it. So this will insert the value in that index, and after that we have to only print it. So print the updated array. How to print it? We already know. We're going to learn the for loop, and in that for loop I'll write int I equals to 0 from initially will start, and I less than numbers dot length and I plus plus. This is how we're going to write, and inside this I'm going to write system dot out dot println, and we're going to print the array. So numbers and I. So this is going to give our result. So we are inserting the value at that position, right? So these are the steps to do it. I'll hit Control S and I'll click over here and I'll click on the Run Java. Now we'll see that we are inserting at the index. It means in the 30th position, what is the value should come? 25 should come. So it should print 10, 20, 25. See, 25 the value we given, 30 and 40. Why the 50 value got lost? So that is our concern. 50 value got lost because array size is 5. Array size is 5, so 50 value is at the 6th index. So here we can see that it's because array size we cannot increase the size, all right? So that is in the 6th index, that is in the 5th index basically. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th index 50 is there, and we are printing till where? Number dot length. So if I write less than equals to over here at the last position also I want to check, and I run this code, 10, 20, 25, 30, 40 it's giving, and you can see that same thing is giving. Index 5 is out of bound, if you remember, because array size is what? 5, and we are running till I equals to 6. So this is getting printed, and after that it is showing that array length is 5, right? You cannot print more values than 5, isn't it? So that's why this thing is showing that 5 out of bound. This length and bound is this program we did that, right? Here we wrote 5 and that time we didn't print it. So that is what is happening right now. So in this array insertion, you're going to insert the element in this way. Now next program we're going to see, that is deletion in an array. So next up we're going to see the array deletion. So in the previous example we saw how to insert an element. Now in this we're going to see that how to delete an element from an array. All right, so let's create one file. Same thing we're going to do, that we're going to write array deletion dot java. All right, so it will create class for me. I'll come into it, and here I'll define the main method, that is going to be the public static void, and it's the main method, and inside this I'm going to write string array and args. All right, now inside this I'm going to declare the variable and initialize the variable with some values. So name of the array, I'm naming it as numbers and giving some values, let's say 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Let's say these are the values I have given. All right, moving to next. Suppose I want to delete the second index element. What is the second index element? 0, 1, 2. Suppose I want to delete 30. So what I'll write is, I'll write int delete index, and that is going to be the index I'm going to store. That is, let's say store 2 over here. Now what I have to do is, okay, what the algorithm I'll do, let's write it down here, then we'll understand. So what I'll do is, we have taken an array int array, and that's array number is there, right? Numbers, and it is 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50 is there. So what is going to do is, we want to suppose delete 30. So what, after deleting 30, what should I do is, basically in insertion, if you remember, we shifted element to the right side. Now here first thing we're going to do is shift element to the left side. Shift element to the left side, that is the thing we'll do, and at the last position it will be empty. So what we'll assign, we can assign with 0 value, and after that we'll print it. So these are the steps we're going to do, and from where we're going to start, the initialization will be done from here, because we did not to shift, we did not to take care about these elements because this will be there in the same position, right? So we'll be initializing from delete index, and condition will be I less than number dot length minus 1, because we know the index is going to, it's 5, size is 5, array size is 5, but index is still 4. So what we'll write, I less than number dot length minus 1. So that is going to be there. So let's jump to the VS Code and see how we write it. Okay, here what we're going to do, shift element to the left side. All right, so here what I'm going to write is, I'm going to write a for loop, and in that for loop int I equals to delete index. From there I'm going to start, and I less than numbers dot length, that is the length of the array, minus 1 is going to be there, and I plus plus, this is the updation. All right, inside this we need to shift. It means this element is 40 is going to be assigned in the 30th position. That is what we're going to do. So what should I write? Numbers array of I, this value is given from where? Numbers array value of I plus 1. So previous next value is given to the previous value. This is what shifting of the element. So this is the scope of this public this main method. Okay, here we'll write. So what I'll do is, I'll assign the last value with what? With 0. Let's say what should I write for that? Numbers is the array name, and what is the last value? Index, that is numbers dot length minus 1, that is the last value index, and that value assigning to 0. So it does not take any random garbage value. That's why I'm assigning this. All right, now I'll traverse the whole array to see whether whatever we try to do that is happening or not. So again I'll write a for loop, and inside that for loop I'll write int I equals to 0, I less than number dot length, that is going to be the like end position, it is going to be there, and I plus plus, and you will see that at the last position it will be printing 0. So it is numbers, and here I'm going to write system dot out printing statement, basically println, and in this I'm going to give the array, that is what? Numbers array of I is the iterating variable. So I'm going to print this way. I'll hit Ctrl S. Now it is saved. Now I'll click over here and I'll click the run. So we will see after this get running, so it is going to give result as 30 will be deleted. The array should look like 10, 20, 40 and 50, and at the last 0 should be there. So that is what, see, 10, 20, 40, 50, 0. So you can change the index and you can play with it, and you can see any number you can print. So suppose I don't want to print 0 at the last, so what should I do? Number dot length minus 1 will be writing, till that will iterate and it will not give that value. So this is about the deletion in an array. Now we're going to jump to array list. Before that I'll show that you already know that how to do updation, like with the index value. All right, but I'll show that how to update. Okay, it's already done. Update we already did. So next part we're going to do is dynamic array. We're going to see in that dynamic array, basically array list is there for the Java. All right, after we learn array list, then we're going to jump with the 2D array. So in 2D array we're going to learn how 2D array is used and everything stuff we're going to see, and after that we'll solve some lead code problems, some other problems that is framed. So we're going to do that. So for the next video, for this one, thank you.